Ugh. I'll tell you what, I was not ready for the weekend to be over. But, today, I think we're going to have another conversation. Going to be a little different this time. I suppose I better move my hat so you can see my face a little bit. I don't know. I think we're going to talk about maybe some of the things that we need to get done. It's coming on springtime. We need to get this figured out. Get ahead of the game. We'll talk a little bit about food pricing and stuff like that. But that's all coming up in about 30 seconds, so hang in there with me, and we'll see you in a little bit. Well, 8:24 here in the great state of Montana. Boy, am I glad to be here. 42 degrees outside, partly cloudy. Supposed to start warming up pretty good the end of this week, and that's what got me thinking about what needs to get done here real soon. Tell you what, you look at just head to the supermarket. Look at the price of food coming up. I mean, between I guess not artificial inflation, it's inflation. Hi, Christy, good morning. Between the, inflation that's going on right now in the U.S. we have an influx of unearned money that keeps coming into the system through these checks that our government thinks that they need to keep handing out and charging us trillions to give us billions. You got to ask yourself where that money's coming from. And it's coming from you. Well, it's coming from you. It's coming from your kids, your grandkids. And what we're heading for right now, unless something drastically changes, which I don't see that happening in the current situation that we're in, unless something drastically changes, we're going to head right into hyperinflation. And if you guys are at all students of history, if you know anything about the Weimar Republic, that's kind of the direction we're heading. Eventually, you're going to have all the money in the world. It's just not going to be worth anything. Grizz, I understand that it's not the... It still makes the world go round, no matter how you look at it. It may be on a fictitious system, but it still makes the world go round. And what we're running into, we haven't used the gold standard for years. I understand that. Robert, you're here this morning. Nice to see you. But what we're running into is the people that have relied on being able to go to the grocery store and use their pocketbook to sustain themselves doesn't exactly work anymore. I was talking to my my mom just the other day over in South Dakota, and She was telling me how a can of green beans over there is costing $1.17. That's just amazing to me. Hey, Mustafa, we speak English in here. Not trying to be rude, bud, but either speak English or get out. Anyway. We run into this problem, once every quite a few years. Well, you know what, Mustafa? Sorry, you're going to be the first one I've ever done this to. Bye-bye, Mustafa. Anyway. We go through this, it seems, I don't know, every few years, but this time around it seems that there's no reset in sight. And, I made the comment before that next time you're cutting your lawn, take a handful of that grass and put it in your mouth and tell me how good it tastes. Because if you're growing lawn and you're not growing food, right now ain't the best time to be doing that. And, I can always reseed my garden back into grass if I ever, get to the point where I don't have to worry about stuff like that anymore. But I'm telling you right now, it's a hell of a money saver, and I think it's going to get worse here real soon. And if you guys don't know how to preserve your own food, you really need to be doing some research on that. If you don't think that a lot of people are thinking that way, just look at the shortages that we've had on ball canning jar lids. Look at the price of jars and how they've went up. And there's a lot of people out there. What I'm concerned with is there's going to be a lot of people go out and get into this and not educate themselves. And they're going to end up getting themselves sick. Iron Dog, what do you mean you wish you had a place to store your food? How big of a place are you thinking you need? But you guys really need to be, even if you live in an apartment building, figure out some way, either find a community garden where you can have a small plot on your own. Believe it or not, you can do a pretty crowded garden and still be really successful and pull a lot of produce off of it. It may not be enough to carry you all year round, but it'll definitely help you out through the summer months and into the fall. If you plan it right, if you, anytime you start crowding a garden, you have to tend it more. There's some things you got to do. And if you haven't figured out how to fish yet, or learned how to fish, I know some people are, they avoid hunting for their own food, which, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to take an animal's life. I understand that. 10 by 20 right now from the floor to the ceiling. 7 foot, just I walk. Right now. So you're telling me you got that filled up and you're looking for another way to store, or? So, Christy, have you looked around to see if there's any Any community gardens available? And Iron Dog, do you live in the city, or are you a little bit out of town to where municipality doesn't bother you? Yeah, Christy, look around, and it's getting to be a bigger and bigger thing, especially in the larger cities, where they're taking some of the, abandoned parks or stuff like that, and cordoning off a section and making that into a community garden. Iron Dog, can you guys put a root cellar in out there, or is that not allowed? I suppose you got to have a building permit and all that happy horse shit. Robert, you're looking to start a fight there, bud. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is going to be, looking at the price of natural gas and how it's went up, I think they said, how was it, like 128%? Lumber is ridiculous. Not enough room for a root cellar. You're talking outside or in your basement, Iron Dog? Because you can get railroad ties and dig I have a few friends that have put a root cellar in right in their backyard. I'm behind on the chat here. Hold on a second. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's ways around it out there. And you know what, Christy? How long have you been in the town you're in? If you've been there a while, you may know of an empty lot out there. Don't be afraid to petition the city to see if you can start a community garden at it. Yeah, Iron Dog, I'd like to see a pantry video from you. Yeah, exactly, Robert. It's amazing how well those root cellars will maintain a steady temperature. The only thing you have to be a little concerned about anytime that you start putting like canned goods down is humidity level. You start getting rust on those lids, it's not good. Oh, and by the way, guys, I just want to, before we get going too far here, because I'm on a few different sites today. If you guys haven't looked into it, don't forget we're doing that waffle for the 9mm die set. Even if you just put $10 in for a spot, if you win that die set, you're looking at a $70 die set for $10. And you got a 1 in 20 chance if you buy only one spot. So go ahead and look it up. Like I said, you can use Cash App. We are doing PayPal too. Let's get those spots filled up so we can give that away maybe at the end of the month. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. I think a lot of people need to realize that the grocery store may not always be there. It'll always be there, but you may not be able to afford it. And unless you want to end up on some government programs, and rely on them to feed you, I think it's going to be rather important. And all of us on this channel and most of us most of you guys over on Facebook, for those that haven't, pulled their head out of their butts yet and got over to DLive, we're all kind of that independent mindset. I don't think any of us want to rely on the federal government by any means. I didn't agree with everything that Ronald Reagan said, but one one of the smartest things he ever did say was the scariest thing you'll ever hear is, I'm with the federal government and I'm here to help. No, stay away. But yeah, check into what you have out there. I mean, a lot of those community gardens even have the equipment that you can use. That's kind of just a way to get you guys to get outside is what their thinking is. And my thinking is it's a way for me to make sure that I don't have to rely on the feds. Right now, I'm putting in a garden. Let's see, I'm adding to mine another 10 by 15, so that's going to make it about a 45-foot by 15-foot garden. And that's as big as I can go in town without having a lot of suspicion. That's you, okay. Well, Iron Dog, if you're all right with it, I can bring it up on here and we can show your pantry video. Let me see if I can get it loaded up here. Yeah, if it'll load. All right. Might be a little slow, but we'll try to mutter through it here. All right, Iron Dog. We'll show her today. We'll see what Iron Dog has in his pantry. Let's see. Internet's having a little fun today, but should be able to make it through. All right. So Iron Dog 63 over in the chat, this is his mega food pantry.
Where do we start? Let's start right here. There's a case of turkey gravy and beef gravy. I think there's 5 of each or something like that. Maybe there's 7 beef and 5 turkey. There's a couple small cans of coffee right there, but here's a case of coffee. Now in this toter right here, that's full of coffee. So I got to get another toter in here and put this coffee in it. That tote right here, it's hard to see it, but that bottom tote right there, that's full of cereal. This shelf right here, this shelving unit right here is going to go someplace once I get this all straightened around. But I haven't got that done yet. Here we have Treat, my canned bacon, canned hams. Here's cheese. It's in a heavy plastic gallon jug. There's jalapeno, hot pepper jack, onion, cheddar, mozzarella, all that. Here's pork. This is all canned pork. Ground pork, pork chunks and juices. You got some armor there. This right here is full of salmon in the pouches. Then I have some Assure. I have there's broth down here, there's milk down here, there's all different kinds of, there's beef broth, mushroom broth, chicken broth, 2% milk, chicken broth, there's chicken right there. There's a can of turkey gravy. Here's canned beef. Got some canned beef. But there's a jar, if you can see it, back here. There's a jar of canned chicken. There's some canned salmon. Right there's a bunch of tuna fish. There's some sardines right there. There is almost 2 full cases of olive oil. There is the jelly. and the peanut butter. I have beef stew down here. It's kind of hard to see. Chow mein noodles, the Choi Chinese food, pork and beans. They're all the number 10 cans of the bigger cans. Now, if you see back here, back in here, those are all chickpeas. You know, we don't really eat them, but I'll grind them up in my food processor and make hummus out of them. They were cheap, 10 cents a can, that's why I bought them. Here is soup. I got 3 shelves of soup. That's just canned soup. And then here's jarred soup that I canned myself. There's some orange juice, some pineapples. Here's carrots. There is applesauce up here up the yin yang. This is cinnamon applesauce and apple butter. There's my orange jelly, blueberry syrup. There's some more applesauce right there. Here's the spices. I got more than this. This is just some seasoned salt, pepper, and stuff. And there's some other spices. There's some salt that I got at the Dollar Tree. My wife got at the Dollar Tree. So, chili salt and sea salt in glass containers, which makes it nice. They ain't gonna collect moisture. Now right back here is all sorts of canned goods. There's peas, beans, carrots, corn, or not carrots, corn, mixed vegetables, that kind of stuff. Now here is some more spices and some more condiments. In this tin right here is some you know, soap and toothpaste, toothbrush, and stuff like that. There's some other soap right there. You can see right here some soap. There's some heavy cloths, some shampoo. And right here is some of that 25-year food. I got a few buckets of that stuff. Right there is, well, right here in this is Maxwell House tea that you brew. And there's plums back here in that one container. This is all full of stuff. This right here is a to-go box. It's got almost everything in it. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. If nothing else, you grab that and you go. That'll keep you going for a while. Down here is another pasta box. There's some more pasta and beans. All these are full of non-perishable, you know, like pasta dishes and stuff like that, noodles. There's rice and beans in both of these containers right here. There's about 500 pounds of rice and beans in those two containers. I got my canning supplies up here. I still got to straighten this out. I got to make room. That's what I'm getting shelves around for. I got jars down there so I can do canning, roasters. I got water bath canners, pressure canners. I got all sorts of stuff. Now here is the top shelf is cranberries and fruit, pears, peaches, you know, fruit cocktails, stuff like that. The second one is tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, anything with tomatoes in it. I got some jarred tomatoes right there. The bottom, or the third one has got carrots in it, potatoes. There's some cranberry juice back here. Then this bottom shelf is all beans. You know, like refried beans, chili beans, pinto beans, and stuff like that. I don't know if you can see that, but right there you can. But That's a shelf right there. I bet that shelf weighs 500 pounds if it weighs an ounce. So, right there's my wine supplies. So, this is getting set up pretty nice. I just got to get it cleaned out some more, put some more organized shelves in here. I do have some water. You see there's a couple of waters down there at the very bottom. Mainly the water's out in the garage on a shelf out there, but it will come in here once we get everything done. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you take the incentive into improve your pantry yourself. To be prepared is probably the most important thing in life that you can have. Better to have and not need it than to need and not have it. I prepared like this because I have kids and grandkids and family members and stuff like that, and I could just not see myself turning them away and having them starve to death. That's why I prep like this. If you love somebody, even if they won't prep for themselves, prep for them. It don't cost that much more. On the average, we probably spend $15 or $20 a week extra, which isn't much. $100 a month. But it's everything that goes in there, and we take from the pantry every day too. I go down there and get stuff, and I replace it. So, and always move your older stuff from the back to the front, your newer stuff from the front to the back. When we go down and reorganize the pantry this next time, everything will be moved from the front to the back, back to the front, and the old will be in the front, the new will be in the back, and we'll start doing that and start getting everything moved around. Just that I've been getting a lot of stuff and trying to collect stuff because of this pandemic, and I haven't had time to do that. I've just been throwing stuff on the shelf. This is Iron Dog 63 saying, if you are a subscriber, thank you for being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, please like and subscribe. It really does help. And as always, God bless and have a great day. Hashtag.
All right. Well, obviously, Iron Dog, you do a little prepping. I agree with you. The hardest thing that I think people are going to what people need to realize is, and especially folks that have children at home, it's going to be damn hard to look at that kid and explain to them why they have to go hungry today. And that's probably my biggest concern, especially being a fairly new dad to this. I'm only 3 years in, going on 4 years into this, so according to the rest of my life, that's a not a lot of education there. I don't know, Graz. You telling me you're getting hungry enough to eat a cat, I'm guessing you're going to eat a can of beans, too. And, you can dive into it and get as expensive as you want or as cheap as you want. There's a gentleman on YouTube, and I hate to push YouTube, but we haven't got enough people off of there yet. I think it's Alaskan Prepper. And what he does is paycheck preps. He goes out with, $20, $30, $40 out of his paycheck, and that's what he uses to prep for the week. And there's times where he only spends $10, but, if you do that every paycheck, it's amazing how quick that pantry will build up on you. But I think it's going to get to the point where we need to be knowing how to produce our own food. I'll tell you what, if you guys have ever, and Iron Dog, I don't know if you do this, but have you ever canned pot roast? If you guys have not had a chance to try that, if you like a good, slow-cooked, really tender pot roast, it's It's just amazing what that turns out like. And it's straight out of the can. Warm it up a little bit. You can even put, you can either, like, what I do is pack one jar just completely full of beef, or most of the time, actually, I'm using elk. And a whole slice of onion, about a quarter-inch thick, and just a little bit of beef broth in it. And can that up. Oh, my God. You take your canned potatoes and your canned carrots, and you got yourself a pot roast in about 10 seconds. I mean, it is amazing how much time. I know canning takes a long time, but it saves you so much time in the long run. Yet, Iron Dog, I haven't tried canning bacon yet. Do you wrap it in the parchment paper, or do you just can it straight out? No. Problem is, Grizz, I don't have easy access to a bag of weed, so you're on your own there. Oh, and by the way, since we're kind of on this topic of kicking the shit out of the federal government, did y'all see what Montana did Friday? We gave the big FU to the federal government when it comes to the Second Amendment. We proceeded to tell our lovely government that, or our lovely federal government, that we're just not going to enforce any federal gun laws that, hinder our Second Amendment rights. So, we'll see how that goes. Dog's not a prepper, he just collects junk. So, there you go, Robert. I got a question for you, because I've kind of seen your backyard. Where the hell's your garden at? Yeah, see, and that's what I was kind of figuring, Iron Dog. I don't know. Although I do kind of like the idea. Have you ever seen that parchment paper canned bacon? I do like the idea how, I don't know, a little easier to use on a sandwich. But, yeah, and now, now ain't the best time to be doing it, but you can still get fairly decent deals out there. Get on that Facebook yard sale, check it out. You can buy a tiller for a quarter of the cost of brand new. I actually bought a 36-inch toe-behind rototiller for my lawnmower that, God, I think I got the damn thing. I think I got it for $80. And I found it online for, I want to say it was $1,300. Sure, I had to do a little work to it. I had to replace a bolt here or tighten up a belt there. But if you're at all mechanically inclined, man, you can get a hell of a deal, especially when some of these people don't know what they have. What the heck, Robert? What's going on? You guys not fertilizing, or you got enough work to do and you don't feel like doing a garden? Yeah. Yeah, luckily, my wife's, the times that we've done it, she's awfully excited about a garden, and I think, after I kind of let it go for a year, I told her, fine, we'll just buy, store-bought this and store-bought that. Oh, what the hell? I think it was last Thursday. We were making green bean casserole, and she dumped out the green beans, and after she plucked 2 large stalks of the bean vines out of the can, I think she had enough of that whole store-bought crap. Iron Dog, we'll see you later. Hey, thanks for letting me show your video on here. Well, and actually, have you ever seen those the weed cutters? They're kind of a D-ring looking sharpened knife. I used one of those in the gardening. Man, that makes quick work. One thing it does, it loosens up the very top of the soil, and the other thing, it just makes weeding 10 times easier. But, we can only help people out so much. That's going to be the hardest part. Eventually, it's going to come down to you're going to want to help your neighbor, and you're going to want to make sure that, the people in your community feel taken care of. But it's going to get to the point where you're going to have to pick between taking care of your own family and taking care of your community. I would hope to Christ you'd put your family first, but I don't know your situation. But you guys, we kind of got to get started on this now. Even the Weimar Republic took a long time to get to the place that they were at when Hitler decided to come in and take over. And that's the other scary part. If you let this go too much, you end up with a strongman. And strongmen are they're not good. They're pretty damn scary, actually. They're the ones that can basically turn a country on itself. And we're kind of heading that way right now. And that's with an idiot in office. So I can't imagine what would happen if we had an Adolf Hitler type come up through the ranks. I don't know. Pretty scary. But we got to get ahead of this, guys. Luckily, I've actually ran into a good friend of mine that they have a freeze dryer and they're willing to let me use it. So we're going to try that this year too. We're going to do some freeze dried ready-made meals and kind of that homemade mountain house type situation, but a lot healthier. And I think that's going to be an invaluable thing to have here. One week and I went. Well, there you go, Robert. You need to do some edumacating in that family the way it sounds. And I think coming up here, guys, we're going to, hopefully when this weather turns, it sounds like it's supposed to be turning at the end of this week. We're going to be up in the 70s all of a sudden. Yeah. I think it's going to be time to move everything outside. We might maybe do some live videos from the garden. Well, now, Robert. The problem, do you think maybe some of the problem is your fellows in the house there don't see the value of that home-raised food, or? I mean, I hate to see that. And I guess as long as you have the ability when you need to, but man, it's going to be hard, I think, here coming up. I mean, hell, just look at the price of fuel. You don't think your food prices are going to go up? Go talk to a farmer. I mean, fuel is through the roof. Roundup is holy shit expensive. Seed treats way up. Basically anything that's a petroleum product is through the roof. And I think you're probably going to see, between the smaller yields that we've been making year over year, especially out here in the wheat country, you're definitely going to see bread prices go up. I can guarantee you that. Bread, cereals, noodles. Okay, quick question for everybody out there. Just a quick poll. Put a 1 in the comments if you know how to make your own loaf of bread. Or put a 2 if you've never made bread before in your life. I'm just kind of curious. Because I'm just wondering how many folks out there know just the simple process of making bread. I'm going to guess not a whole lot. I got a few people watching. Well, Grizz and Robert, you guys, do you make your own bread now, or you've just made it in the past? Wow. I've milled my own flour before. I don't know as I'd want to do it on a steady basis. It's kind of a pain. But I still have the equipment. You used to work in a bakery? Oh, see, now that's not fair. Robert, that's getting to explain a lot more about you. That's how you got that babyface Nelson look. So, Robert, I'm guessing it's just easier to head to the grocery store and buy a loaf. My problem is, my little man, when he was born, man, we had, oh, good Lord, just the fight with food allergies. Well, yeah, look at that. Now we got 2 Grizzes in here. About time you got here, Colin. Well, no, what I have is a hand crank grinder, Grizz. I need to get a power one. But I was more concerned with if I didn't have easy access to power. So, Colin, I'm going to call you by your name just because I know you. Feels weird to call you Montana Grizz. Have you figured out where you're going to put your garden this year? And if you say no, you're not doing that, I'm going to kick you square in the ass. So how big of a garden are you putting in this year, Colin? And I'm not talking about the one out at the farm. Yeah, I never thought about it. Yeah, I should modify that thing, be able to put a drill on it, Grizz. Years ago I had a... All right, that's a good place to start. Years ago I had a powered meat grinder that was... we powered it off of an old washer motor. We just put a big flywheel on a hand crank grinder and small one on the small pulley on the wash machine motor. It worked pretty good. I finally had to bump my way up to an actual grinder. But yeah, and that's another thing is hopefully there's some people out there that you at least know how to cut up an animal from the primal cuts, they call them. Like go to Sam's Club and buy a pork loin, cut it up yourself. Well, no, it's just I didn't want to mess my grinder up, but plus I'd still have to charge the damn drill, Grizz. I'm looking for no electricity. And I ain't quite got access to a water wheel, so. But I do have a large amount of bulk bread flour. But In fact, I have a video. Yeah, it's over on Facebook or over on YouTube for now. But I have a video of making bread. Someday I should play that on here. Problem is, it's about 40 minutes long because I went pretty in depth. I mean, I went step by step by step. But yeah. Oh yeah, no, I agree, Grizz. And I know plenty of wheat farmers around here. I can get my hands on wheat pretty easy. So if I need to grind it, I'll grind it. One thing that I've thought of that I need to start doing, I need to start a sourdough. What do they call that? The mother culture. Just so I can maybe not have to use yeast all the time. It's one thing I would like to learn how to do anyway. But yeah, as far as supplying protein for your family, how many folks know how to cut up a pork loin? And if you do, how many people have you taught? Because I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there that still don't know how to do it right. Yeah, Colin, you still got the ground. I wouldn't get rid of that. There's only two things in this world that they don't make more of. It's time and ground. But I'll bet you there's a fair amount of people out there that would have trouble, especially if they shot a deer. There's even some hunters out there have no idea how to process it themselves. They just take it to the meat locker. That's the guys that do it. And I don't know, not okay. Well, Grizz, now come on. You knows what? I'm a trained frickin' butcher. I went to school for art. So if you want to get in that argument, we can. There's a lot of cuts of meat that if you cut it wrong, you can't even chew it. It doesn't matter how hungry you are if you can't swallow it. Oh. Robert, there's better animals out there to eat than a damn cat. I'm telling you, if you guys, you joke around about it, but if you haven't ever ate a predator, it's not the same. Not even close. Chris has no teeth. Oh, Robert's full of them today, man. He's just on rolls. Sorry about that. The thing I'm getting at, Grizz, is it would take me about 5 minutes to show someone how to correctly cut up. You ain't ever had my orange tab. What? Anyway, it takes about 5 minutes to teach someone how to cut up a pork loin and to do it the right way. Yeah, but see, Grizz, that's an extra step. If I show you how to cut it right, you wouldn't have to pressure can near as much of it. I'm telling you, there is a certain way that you have to cut any given animal. Well, hopefully they got a rough idea. I've ate a lot of weird things in my life. I've always figured that there shouldn't be, well, hell, you can look at me. I'm not one for going hungry. And if you can learn the good ways to cook the bad food, it's not a bad thing. Yeah, all right. Yeah, even like, who in the hell was talking about a London broil the other day? Was that Brian out in California that was talking that he was gonna grill a London broil? Yeah. The thing that I especially run into, if you know how to do the cuts, and if you know, especially, I don't know. I hate to argue with Grizz, but if you know the right way to cut up an animal, I can process a deer, or, well, Colin will tell you, we can process a deer in about, I don't know, what the hell did it take us, Colin, from hanging to cut up to packaged, about, 45 minutes? 2 deer? I've done an elk in less than a half hour. But you got to know the cuts, and you have to know where they're coming from, and you have to know, just looking at that animal, how you're going to break it down before you even start. And if you can do it, it's way easy. Yeah. So I was going to say that if you don't know, a London broil is a perfect example. It's a fine enough cut of meat. But yeah, that's one thing I couldn't eat. But your dog ate it there, Colin. A London broil is a good cut of meat, but you have to know how to prepare it, and you have to know how to cut it. If you think that you're going to cut that thing like a normal T-bone steak and bite into it, holy God, you're in for some trouble. Yeah, it's amazing, and once you have the general idea how to break down an animal quickly, it's amazing how much time it saves you, and it's amazing how little waste you have. Yeah. Yeah, and actually London broil, if you slow cook it, you can't cook it on a grill real fast. And you need to cut it, so you have the London broil that's yay thick and yay big around. You can't cut that piece of meat like this, because if you do, you're never going to chew it. You have to cut that piece of meat at a 45-degree angle when you're serving it. So you're actually cutting, you're cutting through the connective tissue. So basically your knife is breaking it down instead of your teeth. Yeah, great. Well, and actually most of my stuff is done in a garage. We kind of set up, I have a couple of folding tables that I use, and we basically set up a makeshift kitchen right in the garage. And that's the other thing, is if you set up your staging right, it saves you a ton of time. If you kind of have your skinning area, then your breakdown primal cuts, which is basically, your large cuts of sirloin, rump, loin, chuck, neck, that type of setup. Then you have a cut table, then you have a wrap table. As long as you can get that set up, it speeds everything up. Yeah, Grizz. I hear you, buddy. But it doesn't, what I was getting at there was it doesn't take long to teach people these skills. It wouldn't take me long, and Grizz, I'm not going to say you would want to do this, but it wouldn't take me long, Grizz, to put a deer in the air and show you how to break it down and probably speed your process up a lot. It takes me, I'll bring a pork loin home from like Sam's Club or something like that. I got less than 15 minutes into it, and I'm going to have, I don't know, 5 or 6 packages of boneless chops, probably 2 packages of boneless ribs, because I do a country style rib with the shoulder portion of the loin, where it turns into some of that light and dark meat mixed together. You can do a what we always called a country style rib in the meat department. And I'll get 2 packs of those. There's a couple of sirloin chops. What I like about it is you get to pick the cut. If you want a 3/4 inch thick pork chop, cut it 3/4 of an inch. If you want to cut it what we used to call breakfast chops, where they were 1/4 inch thick, they cooked up really fast in the morning. It went well. Yeah. I agree with you, Grizz, to a point. But efficiency is still going to be important, because the less energy that you have to put into something is more energy that you can put into something else. And when shit hits the fan, you're going to need all the energy you have that day to get as much accomplished as you can. I mean, I understand that, the easiest way to do it is take a frickin' leg quarter, hang it over a fire, and roast it until it's fallen off. But you might not have time to do that, or do a pit fire on a full-size deer. But if you have some way to cut and store when it's, wrong time of year to be shooting a deer, it might be a little easy to have that cut up. Might not have frozen, but you'll have jerky, you'll have canned. In my case, we're going to try freeze drying some of it, but you'll have it ready. And I think anything that you can, I look at hunting a lot like harvesting. I am going to kill as much as I can to prolong me as long as I can, so I don't have to do it again next week. Because you're going to get tired of having to go out every night to go shoot your deer so you can eat something. And you're going to waste a lot of time, energy, and materials to do it. Yeah. There is still ways to preserve a lot of animal. Not just fire and dehydration. I mean, smoking and dehydration is definitely the easiest way to do it. If you've ever done a salt pack cure, kind of like an old Virginia style ham, you can do that with deer quarters. Salt is going to be a key thing. And salt, unfortunately, is one thing that we are not real proficient in making, so. But there's some ways around getting really cheap, large amounts of salt. If you look into cattle feed. Yeah. Well, and you can actually use honey, too. Honey is a great antibacterial for keeping that meat fresh. But salt is going to be the big one. And salt, you can get, you want to avoid iodized salt, which is a pain. But you can get feeder salt for cattle a lot cheaper than you can bulk salt for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you've ever had a sugar cured or a brown sugar cured anything, I mean, I've done hindquarters on a beef before, or on a deer before, and it's not quite a ham, but it's damn close. But yeah, just knowing those techniques, and I don't quite know how I would. I don't know. I'm going to have to think of a way that we can set that up where, we can shoot a video on it or something on a how-to. Because I think once people, and just like fish, I guarantee you there's a lot of people that would love to go fishing, but they don't bother to keep and cook the fish because they don't know how. Yeah, it's fun to catch them and take the hook out and throw them back, but they don't know if it's a fish that they should keep to eat or if they need to smoke it or, can they just fillet it, fry it like, good old-fashioned frickin' fish sticks. There's people out there that have no idea. Or what the good time of year to, like, catfish. What's the good time of year to catch catfish? Should I keep them in the late summer or should I keep them in early spring? All that fun stuff. And we can sure do that on here. I might need a little help from you guys that have been on DLive a little longer to figure out how to set that up. But I think it's possible. I hate the idea of having to put it on YouTube. I guess I could do BitChute. But, yeah. There's a lot of old ways out there that we've forgotten how to do, and I think it's going to be important that we get back to those. Rainbow carp. There's a story behind that, guys. So, Colin is an avid trout fisherman. I am an avid walleye fisherman. I do not like trout. I'll eat it if I have to, but God, I hope someday I don't have to. To me, any fish that can create its own oil while you're cooking it is not right. Just not okay. So I've given him crap over the years that he goes out to catch rainbow carp. And actually the sad part is, Colin, if you've ever had Asian carp, I'd rather eat an Asian carp before I eat a damn rainbow trout. But yeah, God, there's just so many things that to me come second nature that there's a lot of folks out there that might not know how to do it. And I'm realizing that, I'm telling people to get ready for things and I'm telling people that they need to prepare. And which kind of carp, though, Grizz? I don't know as I could eat a buffalo carp. I don't know. But, we sit on here and we tell people to get ready, but we don't ever ask them if they know how. And that could be some of the problem. And I think coming up, I would rather have people that know how to take care of themselves than have people knocking on my door trying to steal my food later. I'd rather find people that I can work with to maybe create a community that, unfortunately, we give the Amish and we give the Mennonites and we give the Hutterites a bunch of crap, but they may have this figured out to where, they take care of each other as a community. And it's not that they give away the spoils of their hard work, but they try to help people realize that if they help a little bit, yeah. Grizz, I'm still, I don't know. I'm confused on this. You've said it before, and I haven't asked you about it, but so the world is overpopulated. Yes, walleyes are delicious, Colin. So, what is the ideal population there for you, Grizz? And Robert, I can honestly say I've never tried brook trout, so I'm not gonna poke at you on that one. But that seems like my pan fish, like bluegill or crappie or. Grizz, I don't know if I believe you on that. I don't think you'd want this whole world to yourself. Huh. Yeah, I'll leave it to you, Robert. You and Colin would actually get along really well. You're both a couple of, river runs through it kind of guys. Well, in Montana, which we like to keep it this way, and, for all of you that are thinking of moving to Montana, it's a horrible place to live. It's cold and miserable, and, it snows 11 months out of the year. Anyway, in Montana, I think we figured it out to where there's one person every 10 square miles. I know, Robert. I know. You guys you fly fishermen in that movie, The River Runs Through It. That's almost as bad as, I don't know, bouncers and watching that. What the hell movie was that? Oh God, now I can't remember. It was Sam Elliott. Anyway, about that same thing. I don't have the patience for fly fishing. I know you, Robert, you and I got into this conversation that it's a lot like hunting where you're spot stalking and all that. Yeah, Roadhouse, there you go. What? Not okay. But yeah, I don't know. I think educating the people now when they might be more in tune to learning is going to be a lot better off than fighting the people off when they're there to take your stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fun. Okay, I'll give you that. It's fun as a recreational sport, but it's not exactly a what do you want to say, the most effective way to gather fish for food. I mean, when it really comes to it, man, my allergies are bothering me right now. I don't know what's going on. When it really comes to it, a seine net and 2 small boats out on this river is going to do way more than any pole fisherman's ever going to get done. But, I guess we got a little off topic, but don't be afraid to educate the people that want to learn. Leave the people behind that don't want to learn. You're just wasting your energy. And unfortunately, at least then you have an idea of who may come knocking at your door when shit hits the fan. Because let's face it, even the people that told us 5, 6 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, that there's no reason to prep because something like that will never happen. Yeah, Robert. I'm telling you, a 45-foot seine net, I don't have to worry about catching them. Close the loop and pull them up. But for right now, I understand the game wardens would have a little bit of a problem with that. But, shit gets ugly, they're not going to be around. But yeah, those people that told us that we were crazy years ago for even planning any of this, they've changed their tune a little bit. Oh yeah, definitely, Grizz. I mean, you still have to have a balanced diet no matter what you do. Yeah. Yeah, I guess how many people do that? And Robert, I think you're in prime country for morel mushrooms. Do you do any foraging out there? And Colin, I know you are. And Grizz, I would say garden and forage. Sometimes there's some plants out there that Mother Nature can grow a hell of a lot better than we can try to in a garden. Yeah, have you guys done any morel mushroom hunting? Or I saw on Facebook that the oyster mushrooms are out already. Well, see, Robert, you ought to be sharing. Shit, there's people that pay good money for them goddamn things. Yeah, it is amazing. And I had to teach my wife. Hey, American Grizzly, how's it going, bud? Had to teach my wife about, if you want to call it city foraging. Something kind of different. Oh, Jesus. A lot of these municipalities have planted fruit trees around the town and don't really maintain them. In fact, I know there's 2 edible crabapple trees here. There's a lot of wild plums down on the river. There is some wild asparagus that grows along the river. All of these things Mother Nature has figured out how to grow way better than I can. Well, Robert, if they're that easy to get, though, you can do both. You can eat them and sell them. I'd like to get some and try them in the freeze dryer and see how they turn out. Yeah, Grizz, you're absolutely right. People don't think about having to travel to go get their stuff. Yeah, do any foraging. Eventually when the mountains are only 10 miles away right now, it's not so hard. When the mountains are 10 miles away and you have to walk to them, that's a whole different story. That's why I did some urban foraging. And, even like dandelions. If you've ever had dandelion root coffee. If a guy can't get coffee, yeah, it doesn't have the caffeine kick. But if you can't get coffee, I've made dandelion root coffee and it tastes pretty damn good. Yeah, I've never tried that, Robert. And the problem is where I'm at, up here in central Montana, there's not a lot of morels to be had. Colin, I might need to come down and visit you and see if I can find some. Sassafras coffee. See, now, unfortunately, I don't have sassafras up here, but I've heard that's damn good, but I've also heard that it can be a little dangerous. Is sassafras the one that there's a poison type strain out there too? Or a look-alike plant that's deadly? Well, Grizz, the hardest part, though, is... Well, unless, I don't know, maybe you grow coffee over there. I don't know if anybody's ever tried it up in the in North America. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely don't be eating a plant that you can't identify and be 100% sure that that's what you're getting. Yeah, but Grizz, do you know anybody? Have you ever heard of anybody around there growing coffee? My biggest thing is going to be growing tobacco. Or at least trying it, seeing if I can get it done. Yeah, pine needle tea. I've had that. Definitely got a citrusy almost taste to it. It's definitely it's better than I thought it was going to be. Let's put it that way. And dandelion root tea, I guess technically that's what it was. I mean, you end up roasting the root like a coffee bean, but it's tea. I mean, and everybody tries to kill off dandelions. Man, there's a lot of food sustenance in a dandelion. Between, hell, even making the wines. Well, Rob, you kind of drink barley infused water. I do enjoy my cow juice, so I'm going to have to figure out how to milk a cow, I guess. Been years since I had to worry about doing that, but yeah, see, that's kind of what I've ran into. So now I have to look at a replacement for coffee. But yeah, I think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't have a lot of Amish up here. We're up here more in Hutterite country. That's what I've heard, Grizz. Not exactly the best stuff unless you know how to kind of. Well, there's a bit of a fermenting process that kind of goes into it, isn't there? I don't know. I think all of us being able to educate each other is not going to be a bad thing, and I think that's maybe something that we need to work towards. And I don't know. I went on that rant, and yeah, it made me feel better for a day or two, but you know what? It also got my blood pressure up and got me all pissed off, so I think we're going to start concentrating more on maybe doing some educational videos, maybe getting some groups together in here that, people that are like-minded and are willing to educate, help each other out. And hopefully that spreads because, not everybody is on DLive. They should be, but they're not. And I think if we can get to the point where us being able to educate each other starts to grow, and maybe you educate someone in your local community on ways to do things. Yeah, I know, Chris. I've actually, that's one good thing about this. It's actually made me think that it might be time to get serious about quitting tobacco. Just because I don't want to be going through tobacco withdrawals if everything else is going to hell. So yeah, I don't know. Might be a good time to quit. But yeah, are you guys up for something like that? Maybe we do a couple educational videos. Grizz, I know you have a pretty active channel. Robert, you could too. You could do something on fly fishing, for God's sakes, because you know, are the avid fly fisherman. Hell, you could start your own fishing show on D-Live. And Grizz, you got a ton of projects around there. I got a ton coming up too. Yeah, tobacco would be a good trading stock, especially if you knew how to grow it. I don't know. Are you guys up for that challenge? Or are you up for putting some stuff together? You're not a good teacher, Grizz. Oh, come on now, Grizz. I've seen your videos on YouTube. I know how many followers you used to have on your sawmill videos. I was one of those followers. I didn't realize it was the same guy I was talking to when I got on D-Live, but I think you're a better teacher than you give yourself credit for. Well, yeah, I understand, Robert. It does make it hard, but and your kiddo's little. Maybe I'll have to figure out some point in time where Mama takes the little one and you take the younger one and teach him how to fly fish. I'm guessing you already have taught him how to fly fish, but yeah. Well, but Grizz, some of that is, some of that's educational. I understand you're not calling it a how-to video, but people are going to look at it as a how-to video. And Robert, have you looked into BitChute? Grizz, I don't know. You must be putting back on your turtle shell. You got that tough exterior going on. Little does everybody know you got that creamy nougat center. You haven't taught the youngin' how to fly fish yet? I don't know about you, Robert. I'll be taking the 3-year-old out this summer. We'll be doing a little river fishing. Well, that's true, Grizz, but yeah, the setup can be the same. I mean, maybe not necessarily the varieties you're planting or how you can, what you're using for fertilizer and stuff like that, but, a garden layout is pretty similar depending on, where you go. There's some processes there that I think would kind of cross over. And what we could do is just promote your website and then maybe show one or two videos off of it. And if people want more information, head over to your website. And American Grizzly, I don't know enough about you yet, but I'm guessing there's some skills that you could bring to the table too. Oh yeah, I understand that. Grizz, I absolutely agree. Hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with redneck skills. A lot of them redneck skills are going to become really important, I got a feeling, soon. Yeah, I don't know. Think it over, guys. What the hell? It's worth looking into. But I think being able to educate people is going to be kind of important. Hopefully before all this goes to hell. Redneck skills equals life skills, exactly. But I think I'm going to get the heck off of Facebook and YouTube. You folks over on DLive, we're going to get the music started up here shortly. If you want to hang out in the chat, guys, I'd appreciate it. Stick around and we'll get something fired up. I don't know. I'm feeling a little old country today, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, just hang out in the chat room, and I'll be back here shortly. See you in a little bit.